What's up, Bodybuilding Nation family? I've got some compelling updates to share with you today. Let's dive right into the latest developments in our sport, starting with some fascinating physique progressions from several top competitors. Quint Beastwood's journey continues. First up, we have some incredible physique updates from Quint Beastwood, who's currently about 2 weeks out from the 2025 Italy Pro. This will be another attempt for him after some heartbreaking near victories at both the Tampa and Texas Pro shows earlier this year. I have to tell you, following Quint's journey has become one of my favorite storylines in bodybuilding right now. There's something truly captivating about a genuine underdog narrative, and throughout bodybuilding history, these are often the stories that resonate most deeply with fans and create the most memorable moments in our sport. What really stands out to me is that Quint has been staying with Samson in the UK while finishing his prep for this competition. I have to give massive credit to Samson here. My respect for him has grown tremendously since he captured the 2024 Olympia title. The way he's conducted himself as champion has been nothing short of exemplary. Samson has been incredibly active as an ambassador for bodybuilding, constantly engaging with fans, sharing physique updates, doing guest posing appearances worldwide, and maintaining a strong social media presence. He's made himself remarkably accessible and has truly embraced the responsibilities that come with being Mr. Olympia. But what impresses me even more than all of that is what we're seeing here with Quint. Having the current reigning Mr. Olympia take a struggling competitor under his wing, someone who's right on the edge of breaking through but hasn't quite sealed the deal yet, that's something special. Quint has been bringing some of his best packages ever to the stage, but he's still fighting for that breakthrough victory, that Olympia qualification that would elevate his career to the next level. Seeing Samson step in to mentor and guide him during this crucial prep phase shows incredible character. This might be one of the most admirable things Samson has done since winning the title, helping an up-and-coming bodybuilder who has all the potential in the world, incredible structure, and phenomenal genetics, but just needs that extra push to get over the finish line. Looking at today's physique update from Quint, I'm seeing striated glutes, separated hamstrings, and we're still 2 full weeks out. I genuinely believe we're going to witness the best version of Quint we've ever seen at this Italy Pro, and I think it will be directly attributed to having Samson's guidance and influence during this prep. If you followed Quint's vlogs leading up to Tampa and Texas, you'll remember he was essentially self-coaching, bouncing progress photos off friends who were competitors or coaches and making adjustments based on their feedback. Now, being in the presence of someone who won the Olympia under his wife's coaching guidance, having access to both of them in person, getting real-time feedback on his physique, I'm confident they're providing valuable input to help him bring his absolute best package. These aren't easy competitions Quint is entering either. The Tampa and Texas Pro shows featured some of the deepest lineups we've seen in recent years, and these upcoming Italy and Germany shows are going to be equally stacked. You've got Erskinski, Lewis Breed, Emir Omaric, Sergio Oliva Jr, and Stefan Matala's pro debut. If Quint can capture a victory at either of these events, it will be a significant achievement. Not a win against a small field, but a triumph over established, high-caliber competition. Quint is definitely the competitor I'm rooting for most heading into these shows. I believe structurally, he was the most impressive athlete at every competition he's done this year, and that's exactly why I want to see him on that Olympia stage. The respect I've gained for Samson continues to grow, especially seeing him mentor Quint through this process. Sergio Oliva Jr. updates. Speaking of these upcoming shows, I want to show you the latest update from Sergio Oliva Jr., because on paper, he's probably going to be Quint's biggest threat at both competitions. It's particularly interesting that Stefan is going to be coaching both Sergio and Ers going into these shows. I'm definitely planning more detailed preview content for both the Italy and Germany Pro shows, where I'll break down all these competitors, including some names you might not be familiar with, and analyze all their recent physique updates. We'll probably do that next week when we get the official competitor lists. Looking at Sergio and Emir, they're likely the 2 biggest challenges Quint will face. This won't be an easy victory for anyone, but I do think under Samson's guidance, Quint has a real shot. Sergio looks impressive in these recent updates. I don't think we saw his best at the FIBO show earlier this year. He seemed a bit flat and could have been more conditioned. Based on these current updates, he appears to be on track to bring a much improved package. At 2 weeks out, the progression looks promising. With the Olympia approaching, we'll be shifting focus to that soon, but honestly, we have an incredibly exciting end to the competitive season with these final 2 open qualifiers. These are going to be thrilling, competitive shows with deep lineups, and I'm genuinely excited to give them proper attention before we dive into constant Olympia coverage. Let me know in the comments, do you think Quint will finally earn his Olympia qualification? What about Sergio? Is there a chance Ers makes his open debut and potentially wins one or both shows? Only 2 names will be added to that 2025 Olympia qualified list. Which 2 do you predict? Chris Bumstead's surprising condition. Next up, we have something quite rare, a recent physique update from Chris Bumstead. While he's been posting regularly and continuing to train, I think many people are surprised to see how much size and condition he's maintained almost a full year into his retirement from competitive classic physique bodybuilding. He doesn't look like someone prepping for the Olympia, obviously, because he isn't. But frankly, he doesn't appear much different from his competitive days, and in some aspects, he looks better than several classic physique competitors we're currently discussing as first call-out contenders. Not necessarily conditioning-wise, but in terms of muscle mass and the condition he's maintaining, he still looks on par with many athletes we're considering for the top 10 at the Classic Physique Olympia. This is surprising considering Chris has taken time away for his wedding, having a child, and various family and health commitments. He's not living that intensive Classic Physique Mr. Olympia lifestyle anymore, yet he still maintains a physique that could compete at that level. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I don't believe we've seen the last of Chris Bumstead on a competitive IFBB stage. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, possibly not even in the next 5 years. But Chris is only 30 years old and retired at 29. There's so much potential and possibility, maybe even likelihood, that he could return years from now and still be highly competitive, whether in classic physique or open bodybuilding. I think Chris will be watching this year's Classic Physique Olympia closely. Will someone win that Chris believes sets a poor standard for the division? Or will someone win that Chris thinks he could easily beat if he returned the following year? Could this year's results inspire Chris to come back and re-establish his dominance? This isn't unrealistic in bodybuilding. If we've learned anything about retired bodybuilders, especially those who retired young while at the top of their game, many don't stay retired permanently. Now, Chris is in a unique position because he's financially stable enough to exist without competing to a degree that probably no other IFBB pro can match. He doesn't need to compete, doesn't need the Olympia, doesn't need the IFBB. Chris could walk away from all of it and be perfectly fine, so he doesn't have a huge financial incentive to return. But I wonder if watching this year's Olympia will give him that competitive itch. Looking at this update, I'm genuinely surprised by how good Chris looks for someone not prepping for anything, especially coming off his wedding when you wouldn't expect him to be in great shape. Nick Walker, 7 weeks out. We're now at the 7-week mark from the 2025 Mr. Olympia, and I've got updates from 2 top contenders. First is Nick Walker, and I'm extremely impressed with how he's looking. This footage is from one of his recent vlogs. Nick is one of the athletes I'm really pulling for at this year's Olympia. As I mentioned earlier, I love a good underdog story. What we saw from Nick at the Pittsburgh Pro after a 2-year break, followed by his victory at the New York Pro to secure his Olympia qualification. That's the kind of narrative I find compelling. Looking at this year's Olympia lineup, we've become accustomed to seeing the same 3 athletes in the top 3. Samson, Derek, and Hadi. I think the most exciting outcome would be an underdog breaking into that top tier, and looking at the entire lineup, Nick Walker seems most likely to accomplish that if anyone can. I appreciate Derek, Hadi, and Samson, but nobody wants to see identical top 3 results year after year. Nick looks absolutely incredible, gigantic, massive, and freaky. These updates showcase everything open bodybuilding represents. Nick is easy to support because he's entertaining, and that's exactly what he would bring to the top 3 at the Olympia. That's what I want to see this year. I'm not entirely confident predicting he'll crack the top 3, but I think he'll definitely be in the top 6 and earn prize money. Based on everything I've observed as we approach the show, his confidence, physique updates, attitude, and his last stage appearance, I believe he'll be in contention for the top 3. I know many people are doubting him, And there are Nick Walker critics out there, but he's one of the competitors I'm supporting most, and I hope he proves me right. Look at his physique in this video. This is what open bodybuilding is about. This is a genuine freak, a mass monster, someone who can't walk down the street without drawing stares. This represents the essence of open bodybuilding, and I hope he brings his best package ever and gets rewarded at this year's Olympia. Hadi Choopan, 7 weeks out. We also received a physique update from Hadi Choopan at nearly 7 weeks out from the Olympia. Hadi was the runner-up last year, and when discussing who could potentially defeat Samson, realistically, Hadi should top that list. He's beaten Samson before, he's won the Olympia before, and he placed second last year. While we've been discussing Nick and Derek extensively this year, the Pittsburgh Pro excitement, their rivalry, the drama and tension between them, honestly, the number one threat to Samson, Nick and Derek should be Hadi. Hadi is remarkably consistent. Even when slightly off, he's typically the most conditioned competitor in the top 3. He'll capitalize on any weakness from these other athletes at the Olympia. He's guaranteed to be in shape, and based on these updates, among all the top Olympia contenders we're discussing, nobody's updates look more conditioned than Hadi's. I think he has the best chance of winning aside from Samson, the defending champion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What are your 2025 Mr. Olympia predictions? What about the Italy and Germany show predictions? What do you think about Chris Bumstead? Will he stay retired? Make sure to like the video and subscribe to Bodybuilding Nation if you haven't already. That's a wrap for today's update, Bodybuilding Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.